Hi guys, welcome to my channel, A Little Bit of Something, and it's your girl Rachael Wanogho, also known as Rayche Riches. As you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about the processes and the fees involved in getting your UK study visa. Now, it's a whole lot of things, so I'm going to be splitting this video into about, I think, 3 or 4 parts. So this is part 1 of the video because there's so much to cover. There's a lot of things we have to cover. So stay tuned if you're interested in this video, and I'll be right back. Hi guys, welcome back. So before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share this video because it's going to be useful and helpful for someone else who is preparing to come to the UK for studies. Now, bear in mind that every information I'm going to be sharing with you will be based on my own experience and the things that I had to do. So as at the time of this upload, all the information I'm sharing with you is correct, but it is possible that it can change as time goes along because policies are changing, and recently, as of yesterday, the UK has left the EU, so a lot of things might possibly change. So this is just to serve as a guide for you when you are preparing for your own application, your UK study visa application. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is your document process. So before you apply for your visa, you need to ensure that all your documents are handy, all your documents as you have sent it to the school are available and are up to date. You dot your I's and you cross your T's. Okay, so everything has to be checked and rechecked over and over again. So from my list that I have here, so what are the things that you need to prepare? So number 1, your international passport. For you to travel to any country in the world, you need your international passport, also called a travel document. So if peradventure you go online and they don't call it international passport, another name they do call it is travel document. So this is your travel document and you must have that. What I would suggest for your international passport, make sure you have enough time in terms of the expiry date, so that it's, especially if you're going to be spending more than 6 months in the UK, make sure it's at least going to last you a year before you have to renew it. Okay, so that you don't run into any issues. So number 1, your international passport. Another thing you need to have is your birth certificate, either your birth certificate or your affidavit of date of birth. So usually there are a lot of I think most children born in the 1980s to 1990s, a number of them have their birth certificates while others do not. So if peradventure you don't know where your birth certificate is, you can make use of an affidavit, but that affidavit has to be done in High Court. The High Court in Igboshere in Lagos is one place that you can get that done, and it's I think it's deemed it's an official document, so it's deemed acceptable by the UK embassy. If peradventure you get any information that it is not acceptable, you can also have your birth certificates done. I think there is a center that is done in Lagos. I'm not really sure about it, but if you need any information concerning that, you can always check up online and you get the information done. So you need to have your birth certificate, and if you don't know where it is, ask your parents. I'm sure they will definitely know where it is, because the birth certificate I used was the one my dad sent to me back when I was in undergrad. He just scanned it to me, and what I did was I printed it out and laminated it, and I've been using that ever since, even though he has the original copy. So but I have the photocopied copy, and that's what I've been using because it's still my birth certificate. Another thing I would also like to just chip in is making sure that every name that you are going to use it tallies with all the names on your documents. So for example, the names on your undergrad certificate and on your transcripts, on your birth certificate, and on your international passport must tally, because that is the name that you are going to be known by, unless you've changed your name. And if you've changed your name, you have to show an official document saying that you've changed your name. So in my case now, the name I used for my undergrad is different from what is on my birth certificate and international passport. So what I did was I got an affidavit for change of name. not really change of name, but stating that I am the same person who is known in this particular name with this new name that is on my international passport, so that I won't run into any issues. And make sure that when you're sending all this information to the school, you are sending that same affidavit talking about your change of your TUBE. Make sure that you're sending it to them as well, because every document you send to your school is what is going to be used to assess you at the embassy. Okay, the next another thing I'll talk about is, so your birth certificate, your school certificate, your transcript. Your transcript, if you haven't gotten that, you have to find a way to get that. In my case, what I did was, a lot of people will say they need most schools request for your original transcript from your school. So I couldn't get my original certificate, my original transcript, I beg your pardon. So what I did is reached out to a lecturer who helped me out and just printed it out from my department. Some schools might accept it, some others might not, so it also depends on the school that you're going for. So make sure that even if you get a transcript from your department, make sure you send it to the school ahead of time and confirm from them if they would accept that one, so you don't even need to go through all the hassle of getting the original one from the university, because I know that Nigerian universities can, you know, put you through a lot of stress and you have to pay a lot of money to get your transcript. And sometimes these schools, they are patient, but you know, they work with time as well, so that your spot is not handed over to a different person. So make sure that you are set in that direction in terms of your transcript. If you know that you're going to be applying, probably you're going to be resuming school in 6 months time or in 9 months time, make sure that you already have your transcript sorted out. If you have to travel to where your school is, travel and get your transcript sorted out, and always have a copy with you. All these documents I'm going to be talking about, always have it in your Google Drive. I suggest Google Drive because you can print it always and at any time, and especially if you don't want to like be carrying your documents everywhere. So always have them scanned and have them saved in a folder in your Google Drive. Okay, another thing I'll talk about is your CAS. Before you apply for your United Kingdom study visa, you have to have your CAS number. Your CAS number is also known as confirmation of acceptance of studies, and the number is what is used to confirm to the embassy that they have accepted you as a student and that they are sponsoring you as a student in the United Kingdom. So that without that CAS number, you cannot go ahead and process a visa for yourself. You have to have that CAS number, especially if you're coming as a student, because it's proof that you are coming under an organization that is recognized by the government. So you have to have your CAS number. So if peradventure you discover that your CAS number is being delayed, you can send reminders to the school. Keep sending reminders. They respond to their emails properly. So send reminders to the school and confirm from them when you receive your CAS number, so that you can go ahead and process your visa. Because sometimes because of the number of students that they are applications the school has received, they probably might delay in terms of sending the CAS, which might delay your visa coming. And usually your CAS number comes with the your first resumption date and your deadline resumption date. So once your CAS arrives, you have to ensure that you are in the UK before the deadline resumption date. So it's a bit tricky. You have to make sure that you keep sending reminders to the school for them to get your CAS sent to you. The next thing I'll be talking about is your tuberculosis certificate. Okay, so before you apply for your UK study visa, you need a tuberculosis certificate. Now, this is not applicable to anyone who is going to be staying in the UK for less than 6 months. But if you're going to be staying in the UK for more than 6 months, which is most degrees are over a year, 1 year and more. So if you're going to stay in the UK for more than 6 months, even if you're coming as a worker, you don't need your tuberculosis certificate. In the part 2 of this video, I'll be talking about the cost and how much it would, all these things I'm talking about would cost you. So you need your tuberculosis certificate. There is a center in Lagos where you can get that done. an approved center in Lagos. So you can't just go to any hospital to have that certificate done. The center is called the Migration Health Assessment Center. It's in Lagos and also in Abuja. So you have to get that certificate. It's the only one recognized by the United Kingdom Embassy. Okay, another thing you need to do is, that I said, scan all your documents, because you are going to be submitting all your forms online. If you need somebody to help you do that, bear in mind that you're going to be spending an extra amount of money for that. Okay, so bear in mind that you're going to be filling all the forms online, and you have to upload the documents clearly and legibly. If you have to monitor this yourself, make sure you do it yourself. And if you need the partnering center to the UK Embassy called TLS Contact, it's actually in Lagos. If you need the center to do it for you, they're going to charge an extra fee. So I'm going to be talking about that in the second part of my video. Another document you also need in preparation for your UK study is your bank letter. So you need a letter from the bank stating that a particular amount of funds is in it to sponsor your education. You also need a bank statement. Now for the United Kingdom, they require, I'm going to be talking about that in my next video, but you need a particular amount of funds within 28 days to, the funds has to be in your account for a minimum of 28 days untouched, without, like, no reduction, no, you understand, like it has to be equivalent to what's your living expenses and your tuition. That is the first base. So you have to have a letter from the bank. You have to have a letter from your sponsor, that is whoever is going to be paying your school fees, your accommodation bills. You have to, even if it's your father, like your biological father, there has to be a letter from him stating that he's going to sponsor you. I usually suggest that they also state in the letter that they are not going to undertake any major projects during the course of your studies, so that it serves as a proof to the UK Embassy that you would they would sponsor you during the course of your program. Okay, so you also need, you need your bank letter. You need a letter from the bank confirming that the bank statement you submitted is owned by the sponsor. So you need a bank letter, you need a sponsorship letter, and you need your bank statement. And also bear in mind that your statement has to be a minimum of a month before your application date. So it has to fall within that range. You cannot go and bring a statement of 2018 to 2020. It will not be accepted. You cannot bring a statement of January 2019 for an application you started doing January 2020. It will not be accepted. You cannot bring a statement of May 2019 for an application you're going to do January 2020. The minimum number of days, if you're applying in January 2020, you need a statement for at least the beginning of December 2019 and probably early January 2020. I don't know if that makes sense. So make sure that everything is well planned. Make sure you get your tuberculosis certificate. Before you go and get your tuberculosis certificates done, make sure you have your CAS from the school, so that you know that you have all the things that are required. So basically that is everything in regards to document. And yes, one more thing, there's also what is called an ATAS certificate. You need, if you are doing, is mostly required for technological courses. So if your course requires that, make sure you get that done. I don't really know all the information surrounding that, but if you are doing a course that will require that, you need to get that done. And I think most of the schools will give you information on how to get it done and where to get it done. Okay, I didn't have to do the ATAS certificate, so I can't really give you much information about that, but I do know that some schools, some courses require that you have that. For official language, most schools request for IELTS or a TOEFL score. Now, I had both, but I didn't really have to use it because I was coming to the UK, and most of the schools, when they request for your certificate, they would analyze your score, and grade it. So I was graded under the B2 equivalent score in the UK, which means that I have a high level of proficiency in the English language. So I didn't need the IELTS score, even though I submitted it to them. So if your school requires an IELTS, make sure you have that exam done. Okay, some schools don't require it in the UK, but if they do require it, especially from Nigeria, if they do require it, make sure you have that done, and make sure you have the band score cutoff that is stated on their website. Usually majority of the cutoff is 7.5, 7.0. Some schools accept 6.5. It also they all depend on the course that you're doing. I'm studying an English course, so it is expected to be a bit higher, but I didn't even need it because my certificate from my undergrad was accepted. Some other schools will request for you to come and do a pre-sessional if peradventure your IELTS score is not high enough. So it's not really the end of the world if you have a low score in your IELTS. I wouldn't suggest immediately going to rewrite the exam because IELTS is expensive. I think it's about 75,000 naira now. So I won't suggest you go and write the exam again. I'd say write an email to the school telling them that, oh, this is your score. Is it possible for you to come for pre-sessional? So if you're coming for pre-sessional, it means that they'll send you a different CAS from the regular CAS. So you're going to have 2 CAS numbers. When you come around for pre-sessional, which will be like a month before about 3 weeks to a month before the resumption date, and then you have your pre-sessional, and then you get a new CAS and all. So that can easily be settled. One thing I will encourage you is to keep sending emails to the school. Anything that is unclear to you, send emails to them, and they will respond. Bear in mind that all this information I'm sharing is information based on my own experience. So that is a huge disclaimer out there. Don't come and say Rachel said this is based on my own experience. So thank you guys so much. I'll be sharing with you expenses and fees that you need to bear in mind in the part 2 of this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.